my channel. So today I'm going to be reviewing the book How St. John Bosco Punished, and this video is long overdue. I read it a few months ago and I read it in a day, cover to cover. It's exactly 100 pages and it was actually an easy read, and I just like this book so much, and so I wanted to let other parents know about it because it gives really good suggestions and practical advice on discipline and how to punish and what is the goal of punishing. And so it clearly defines like what is punishment, why we should or shouldn't punish. It also explains that you should never use punishment as a way to just vent your anger, feelings, frustration, like raising your voice and using the wrong tone. The goal of discipline and punishment is to teach our children, especially virtues, and also we want to instill in them a supernatural motive. So, that to be a saint, to reach heaven. This is why we want to act this way. Not that we're just like trying to put all these rigid rules and externals. And St. John Bosco also took like a light-hearted approach. Like he wouldn't nitpick and take very personally, misbehavior. He would attribute a lot of things to playfulness and just take it in a light-hearted way. And interestingly enough, his temperament was a choleric temperament. And if you know about the temperaments, cholerics, actually their predominant fault can be, besides pride, is anger. So it's interesting that then, he could have struggled with anger, but he learned to master it. And so one of the suggestions in the book, or the examples that they give, is that whenever St. John Bosco got like really upset about something, he would cross his arms and pinch himself until he like calmed down and his fiery temper, like anger, subsided in the moment. And that's one of the main tips of this book too, to never just punish in the heat of the moment in anger or when the child is upset. If possible, delay punishment as much as possible. And also you want to discipline and appeal to reason and appeal to the heart of the child, and also in a way that you're like promoting the opposing virtue that has been offended by the behavior. And he also says to give a lot of warnings, to constantly be supervising and vigilant, to not let bad influence infiltrate. That prevention is the best method. It's not good to then just wait until something bad happens and rely on punishment. No, he heavily relied upon prevention through supervision, through repeated warnings, and if it comes to a time to punish, to not do it in the heat of the moment, so that you can do it in a calm and rational way. Because the book says that if you punish in just like an angry way, lacking temperance, you actually lose your authority, because you're not like really showing self-control, and so you're not going to be reaching the heart of the child anyway. So it mentions that tip, and the book actually gives these really good examples to give a contrast of what it looks like to just harshly judge and punish a child versus assuming the best and encouraging them. So that's the goal of punishment, is to encourage them to behave better and to teach them, not just to humiliate them. And that was another major point, never to humiliate a child. So also, if you're in a crowded area, to punish them, especially in a harsh, severe, or unfair way in front of others when it could have perfectly waited until later, prudently one should then do that in private. And again, that's like to reach the heart of the child, to do it in charity and being reasonable, because if someone's humiliated, they're going to be closed off to that lesson, to that correction, get defensive, and feel hurt too. So that just like adds to the wounds. There's this one quote in the book says, that St. John Bosco said, "This educator," he said, "wanted his sons to be never alone, never idle, and never humiliated. So that was something really interesting and really impactful. Okay, and so it's in chapter 5. It's called A Real Life Punishment Scene. First, it starts out with a scenario. A boy is caught red-handed taking part in a fairly rough brawl in the schoolyard. Depending on whether he's dealing with a supervisor of the repressive school or a supervisor of the Salesian school, that's the order that St. John Bosco was part of, he will hear himself being called out in one of two following ways. So the first supervisor: John, come here. You're disgusting. That's the umpteenth time I've warned you. It makes no difference. You always do it again. You're hardly out of the yard. Then there you are, wrestling with everyone you come across. You'll leave this place as much of a delinquent as you were when you came here. Now go off and stand in the corner for the rest of recreation, and I promise you I'll throw the book at you when it comes to this week's report. Okay, and so that broke the rule of being alone, isolating the child, being idle, so then doing nothing, and being humiliated. So whereas the second supervisor: John, come here, little lad. I saw you in the middle of a bit of a nasty brawl 10 minutes ago. Your silence is admission. You forgot your resolution very quickly. Remember you promised me you'd watch yourself, and you did for at least 2 days. It was great. Why didn't you keep it up? Come on, do that for me again, but with more consistency this time. I know you. I know you want people to say that you're a polite, well-mannered boy. You could be if you wanted to, so try to really, really want it. I should punish you for that fighting earlier with Michael, but I won't, because I know you want to correct yourself. Now off you go and play, but think about what I said to you. Which of the two supervisors showed himself to be truly an educator? Which of them used the language of charity, of the heart, of politeness? Which of them will overcome his student's fault with time and patience? So which method, in your opinion, do you think would be more effective? So I definitely can see why the second method, using St. John Bosco's method, would appeal more to and motivate a child or anyone to want to do the right thing, to feel encouraged to keep trying, whereas the other child could just feel like giving up and just, like there's no hope of pleasing this person and being sad and humiliated, whereas this one is encouraged. And so it ties in with the advice of frequent reminders of encouraging the virtue and praising the virtue that opposes the vice that the child is falling into. Also, withholding punishment for as long as possible, in the sense that you don't just punish right off the bat. No, you warn, you encourage. Only if all other methods have failed do you punish. And he also advises, leave the guilty one to think. He must enter into himself, recognize his fault, and admit the equity of the punishment. Only then can it be beneficial. And also just like some other information in this book. So they talk about, he gives rules for the time of punishing. So I already talked kind of about that usually it's better to wait for many reasons, not to be in the heat of the moment, not to use anger as a way to vent your own feelings and frustration, and also to give the child time to think. So also the tone, you want to appeal to their reason and to the heart, and also the place and location. So you don't want to just be doing it in front of everyone and humiliating them. That's not going to really get through to them the lesson that you want to teach them. And also the measure and quality of punishments. So it should be just fitting to whatever was done to correct it. You don't want it to be like more severe. And they talk about if it is just too harsh and you're punishing and correcting all the time, then it can lead to children that are fearful and timid, or on the other end of the spectrum, that they're rebellious and just want to get away as soon as possible. So there's so much more that can be said about this book. It has really good advice. It was an easy read, very practical tips for parents, for educators, so especially for homeschoolers, because then you're a parent and an educator all in one. But I highly recommend this book. And so I thought it would be fun if we do a book club on this book. So I think it's, let's see, 10 chapters. Yeah, so this book is 10 chapters. So I thought about one video for each chapter, and then just like a brief summary of the chapter, some reflection questions, and then a practical exercise of how we can apply what we have read and learned in that chapter. Because, you know, if we're just passively reading, I mean, I told you that I read this book a few months ago, and for several weeks, you know, even several months, it has really impacted me, influenced me, but little by little, I'm starting to forget, and I started reading it again, and some of it's like, I'm having all these aha moments again, even though I've, you know, encountered this information. So that's how it is. We need like repeated exposure and actually putting things into practice. So I thought it would be fun that we have these like little practical exercises, and then you all could let me know too, like, how's it working out for you, or what did you think about this, and were there any hiccups? Because especially with younger children, well, even older, but I'm just coming to mind, like preschoolers, you know, you have to sometimes, like, you have to correct them in the moment, because it can be like a safety issue. But there's other things that then, you know, did we respond in an appropriate way? Like, did we raise our voice? Did we remind them of the good behavior? Did we encourage them? And did we give them warnings? Things like that. So I just thought it would be fun. And so if you're interested, please consider subscribing. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, if you like this content. That really helps my channel to grow. And you can also follow me on my website. That's probably where I'm going to also be posting these discussion questions for our book club. You know, I really like book clubs, and I've been part of them in the past, but where I live now, I don't have access to a Catholic mom book club. Plus, it just gets harder and harder now with my 6th baby. Just getting out of the house is not too easy. So I thought, you know, this is perfect if we have it, you know, on demand, and we can connect with other moms, and we don't have to get out of the house, just at our convenience. So if there's anyone else that wants to join me in this, I would be so happy. And feel free to comment or put any questions down below. All right, thank you for watching. God bless you.